Demands were sent to Harvard University in a letter from 3 federal agencies. The letter told Harvard University to hire an outside agency to ensure viewpoint diversity in teaching, to hire an outsider to monitor specific departments listed in that letter, to report all foreign student campus conduct violations to Homeland Security, eliminate all DEI programs, submit regular reports and data to the government, and more. This week, Harvard effectively said, Mr. President, we'll see you in court. So Tara, Harvard's not exactly hurting for money. So why fight this? Why not just go along like Columbia University did?
Partially because they're learning from Columbia University. Columbia went along and then it didn't see its funding reinstated and more demands were made of it. So that's the short answer is they've seen that the government is simply going to keep pushing on this issue of DEI, using anti-Semitism as a way to try and get colleges and universities, especially your larger colleges and universities, to basically eliminate all DEI, eliminate all programs that conservatives have a complaint about and have had complaints about for many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
I think what's interesting here is, the Trump administration, their strategy has been to single out individual universities, and for the most part, until Harvard's case, they've been successful at getting most of the schools to cave. One of the things that I think coming down the pike that's going to be most important is when schools band together. For instance, there was a call for constructive engagement, a letter that was signed by over 200 college presidents that calls out the administration for interfering and saying that while there are some problems, what currently is being done by the Trump administration is not helpful. I think that ultimately there are only a few universities that have the ability, like Harvard, to say no. But collectively, I think the Trump administration has decided not to take on colleges en masse. It could have done something like put a tax on endowments, which it had threatened to do. But that would have affected hundreds and hundreds of colleges and universities and caused them to band together. His strategy is to take and isolate each one of them, and it worked with Columbia, but it didn't work with Harvard. But if it comes to a Utica University or something, we don't have the ability to withstand that. So I think the power of higher education is in coming together and having collective action.
Yeah, but Anirban, there are, as Rick sort of indicated, there are schools who have not signed on to those letters, including some schools right here in central New York, perhaps because they cannot. But what are your thoughts about schools who have joined the fight and schools that have not?
And we will see how this pans out, right? And it reminded me, this whole thing reminds me of a wonderful line from 1984, this book. And it says, "The party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command." What Trump administration is essentially telling people around universities that close your eyes, close your ears to the evidence that exists in the Middle East, what Jewish scholars are saying, where Jewish students are marching, and all of this is happening, somehow protesting against a policy against mass murder is genocide. It does not sit well with anyone. In the short term, of course, it will chill speech. There will be many universities that are rightfully afraid because their Pell Grants might go away, what other kinds of retribution in terms of legal warfare, like years and years of court case, defamation, we don't know. Mm-hmm. But I feel like in a twilight zone, because a few years ago we had white supremacists marching in Charlottesville with tiki torches literally saying this, Jews would not replace us. Mm-hmm. And the president at that time said there are good people on both sides. And all of a sudden they are saviors, right? So, this anti-Semitism, if you ask most young Jewish students here, Jewish Voice for Peace, many rabbis, they would tell you, right, that it is being used in a very cynical and, in a very cynical manner. And as a result, what will happen is, even though in the short term it will chill speech, in the long term, what universities do is they teach you critical thinking.
Yes, that's
they
their
teach you
job.
to ask you to question authority and so on and so forth.
Right, but the Anti-Defamation League, which has tracked hate activity for years to the point that the FBI relies on the ADL, those statistics show that following the October 7th Hamas attack, that anti-Semitic incidents specifically on the college campus spiked 321%. So isn't there a real problem with anti-Semitism that the Trump administration could be said to rightly address?
There is anti-Semitism problem, and that has been from the right, in fact, not from the left. You know, that 320%, we need to see other data. ADL is not always the reliable data to find, and of course, that is why we are in the university. We can also create our own definitions. We have scholars that have created these definitions, right? So yes, absolutely, if there are people who are attacking our Jewish brothers and sisters in campus,
Do something
vilifying them,
about
we
it.
absolutely should
Yeah.
have a heavy-handed and very proportionate response against
Dealing
them.
with it. Let's
Absolutely.
switch-
There should not
Can I-
be no
can I just-
quarrels
once-
about that.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
I just want to say I agree with Tara. I think anti-Semitism is a pretense here. It's a pretense for getting at all of the culture wars that Trump wants to fight.
And that is
within
what I
the
wanted to talk about. So if I could ask you this, we also have evidence of faculty members, according to the Chronicle of Higher Education, are generally, not generally, overwhelmingly liberal. 60% are declared Democrats. So aside from the anti-Semitism issue, Tara, is there a problem with liberal bias in the classroom? I don't want to take it to the point of saying that there is indoctrination, but I mean, this isn't all just made up by the Trump administration, or is it?
It's not all made up by the Trump administration. The problem is in the definitions. Okay, you say that you have a liberal instructor. As long as that liberal instructor, I'll take what I teach, history, as long as I'm teaching both sides of an issue and I don't say, okay, on the test, this is the correct viewpoint. The fact that I'm liberal has nothing to do with it. The problem is, for many conservatives, is that they want education taught in a certain way. For example, they want Hitler, for example, taught in such a way that, okay, yes, the Holocaust was bad, but you know, he really wasn't a bad person and he had some good ideas.
Yeah.